Welcome everybody. There we go. Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming to our No New Starts 2021 recap and thank you and the Q&A for No New Starts 2022. There's been a lot of chatter and questions, and we're recording this meeting so that you can come back and review some of the answers, and especially for our friends that are in European time zones particularly, we're aware that it's currently somewhere between 2 and 3, maybe even 4 a.m. for you, so please keep sleeping.
1 o'clock in London.
Oh. There we go, even earlier. Oh boy. Where do we want to go?
I think we'll start with me. Just before we start talking about next year and all the fantastic things for next year, just want to give you guys a heads up that there is one last big fling event planned for this year that starts on the beginning of the 13th of December. So as soon as the official challenge finishes on the 12th, that's when this new event will start. And then we're calling it the 12 Days of Christmas, because there's 12 days till Christmas, but the event will go till the 31st. So you've got 18 days, and that is an opportunity for you to start all the things that you've been wanting to start. So look out for that event. It's about you posting any new starts you want to do. For people who are getting ready for all next year things, which we'll talk about, it gives you the opportunity to get 200 stitches into a lot of pieces. So that will finish off the year. And of course, you need to have anyone in this year's group, you need to have your albums done with your final picture by the cutoff date of the 12th of December.
That's right.
Back to you.
Right. Cool. So let's talk 2022. We've got some of our, I think what's worth mentioning is who our admin are. So we've got me and Lisa and Carla.
Hi.
Hi. And we also have some enormously valuable moderators in our team as well. We've got one of them here with us at the moment. We've got Mary Barbara. There she is. And we have Martha Dewald and Julie Waugh. And there's also Laura King, but who's been part of the 2021. Yeah. Oh, and Laurie Howard. Thank you. Laurie Howard, and we're saying an enormous thank you to Laura King, who's been on the moderator team this year and is stepping down to enjoy stitching and not having to worry about the extra duties that come with being a moderator. Next, we shall talk about some of the events that we've got coming up for 2022. Carla, did you want to have a quick chat about that? Or Lisa?
I can talk about that. So just a quick recap that you would have seen in our previous video, I think Nat and I did, that the only thing that is compulsory to be in this group is that you must.
Lisa's getting some spotty feedback.
Is that you must be in one of the 3 main challenge groups. You must either be in No New Starts, where you don't start a single thing all year. You must be in, or you can choose to be in 22 and 22, where you're going to focus on no more than 22 WIPs. And there's a whole lot of ins and outs about that we have covered previously. And also, or you can do Work Your WIPs, which is the most flexible. So in 22 and 22 and Work Your WIPs, there are lots of opportunities to start new things. You just have to work for them. There are some that are just given randomly, but you will have plenty of chances. So you're looking at it thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do No New Starts because I want to do a birthday start and I want to do this sale and I want to do that one. You can, you just have to do it carefully and follow the rules. And if you stick around after we do the recording part, if you're not sure about what will work for you or how it fit in with the 3 main challenges, we'll be more than happy to chat to you at the end about your individual circumstances and see if we can tell you what's going to work best for you. So that is the only thing that is compulsory, and that you actually have to stitch. You have to do 1,500 stitches equivalent in time as well, because we're doing timed or counting options. And that's within 3 months, I think. So it's not a lot. It's basically equivalent to 1 strand of thread a day if you even it out. So this is a challenge for people who are actually stitching, not just to sit in and do nothing. So I think that's all that's compulsory, and that's the main events that we have covered before, but we can go over if someone needs to.
To be clear, because it's been asked, the 1,500 stitches that Lisa's referring to is not 1,500 in each one of your WIPs. It is cumulative, and you can use it across all of your WIPs. It's total across. I am not going to count your stitches, but I will know if you've had 1,500 stitches worth of progress across your WIPs.
And you don't have to have touched all your WIPs by the check-in dates. There's 2 check-in dates about every 3 months. So you need to have done the stitches in some of your WIPs, however you best see fit. And if you haven't touched half your WIPs, that's fine, whatever suits you. So it's really not meant to be stressful. It's meant to be a fun and easy to follow process.
That's really good, because it means that I don't have to touch my fall piece in April.
Correct.
I sew pieces I haven't
April
touched
is spring for us.
2021.
Well, yeah, that's right. April's not spring for us, but it's not Halloween time. So there you go.
Hold on. Okay, Nicole's waving her hand with a question.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, I was just reading your printout that, well, your file that I printed out. Can you just clarify, is it 1,500 stitches per month or every 3 months? Because it says per month in the file.
You're right. It is per month.
Okay.
It is per month. Yes.
Thank you.
No worries. That's good. Thanks for the clarification and setting us straight.
Yep. we wrote them a while ago. Some memories a bit.
Still a
ragged.
thread a day. I mean, it's not much stitches for 1,500. That's 50 stitches a day. That's what we calculated, correct? For a month, I believe. 50
That's
stitches
correct.
a day.
Yep. And the main thing is we're very aware that people are totally different types of stitches, and you'll see as we get through these questions and outlining the other challenges that are optional, we're trying to cater for everyone. We want to be inclusive. So we want people to actually be able to achieve. And if you want to be challenged, we want to give you the challenge to be able to be challenged. So we're trying to, that's why there's so many options in such a big range. But yeah, we did have a situation this year where there was someone who really wasn't stitching at all, trying to say that they are doing this really minimal amount of stitches within the 3-month check-in. And it's not fair on everyone else who's actually doing the challenge properly. So that's why we had to put that minimum in.
Yeah. There's always a story behind a crazy rule.
That is true.
We do have the ability to do a demonstration of setting up an album if anybody's unfamiliar. Is that something that people are interested in? Yes.
Raise your hands if you'd like to.
Raise your hands if you would like to. Yes.
All right, I see
Alrighty.
some hands.
There's enough. We see hands. Okay, I am going to share my screen. We're going to head to my Facebook. And I am going to get myself started with, oh dear, what am I doing? People can now see my application. There we go. Alrighty. So here we are in the No New Starts album. I'm working off a laptop. It might be different. It will be different for you if you are doing this on an iPad or on your phone. But the general broad principles are the same. Albums are accessed through media, I think also on the iPad. It's called photos or albums on the iPhone. So albums. So here we go, media. And we want to create an album. There we are. This is the album that's going into No New Starts 2022. Check that it's there. And it is Natalie O'Toole. And at the start, it's the start, isn't it? No, it's afterwards. I'm trying to remember.
Are you saying like which path you're taking?
I think
Are
it's
you
at
trying
yes.
to put there?
I think
It's at the start, isn't it?
Yeah.
22 in 22. Natalie O'Toole. WIPs. All righty. We're going to upload my photos. Here we go. We are going to look for my photos. Going to take a little while because there's a lot of them.
Okay, you have way too many photos, Nat.
I do have way too many photos. No media was found. Well, this is very strange. This isn't working out as well as I've hoped. Media photos. Here we are. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually putting little cover pictures so that I can see what's
We're
happening.
not seeing your pictures yet.
Okay.
We're still seeing ready to add something.
Okay then. Okay. So I am going to add a few photos. There we go. We're starting to see some things coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
There we are. So I've done some little cover pictures.
And can we just ask the new people welcome? Can you please mute until it's time to ask questions? That would be wonderful. Thank you.
That would be amazing. Okay. Okay. So in here, I've just got my cover picture. So I can easily find it. It can be one of your WIPs. But I'm just choosing to have it as my cover picture so that I can easily find it. My WIP Christmas Small. So this is going to be a folder for my Christmas smalls, and I'll be stitching on my smalls, doing a tissue box. I'm going to be coming back to this quite frequently as I go. And for not Christmas smalls, I might add some more photos if I can. It's taking a while to load them all.
You don't have to do the cover photos like Nat is, but if you're planning to do some tissue boxing, it's a really neat way to keep yourself in track, especially in the 22 and 22, where the numbers 1 to 22 really matter.
That's right.
Okay, I'm confused. Are you creating folders within your album?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a cover picture, and then under that I will put the cover picture for the WIP that I'm stitching as a reply. So I'm going to post this just as an example. And now I'm going to select my Christmas smalls, and I'm going to comment on this with a photo, and I get to choose a photo. It's slow. There we go. And while it's loading, it's Advent calendar 4. Veronique, hanger, small. And I hit enter. Oh no, we don't want to tag Trent small. We just want a small.
Lucky Trent small.
Lucky Trent is small.
Okay, now while you're there, Miss Natalie, since that's how you've set it up, can you just quickly show us how you add your progress picture so that when it's time to do the WIP album checks, you have all that done?
Okay.
I understand your progress picture may not match the piece in question at the moment.
That's right.
We can pretend it does.
Let's just hope it's going. No, stay on the page. I don't know why it's not. There we go. There we are. Veronique Enger. For some reason, I can't do that. So sorry, can you answer that? Ask that question again, Lisa?
Yeah. Well, exactly where you're going. We want to put your starting point now.
Yes. Okay.
So you'll notice she hit the word reply to the comment she'd already made.
So I'm just going to choose a random photo just for the example.
And don't be discouraged because this is just one way to do an album.
The main thing is that you have all your the cover photos there, so you know what the piece looks like to help you find it, and then you reply to each one of them with your starting point, and you can put that starting point up anytime you want now. If you already have the 200 stitches, you can pop it up, but we're just asking that you don't keep stitching on that piece until the thing actually starts. So if you've got 100 WIPs and you know that you're only going to work on 20 of them, then you can post the other 80 starting points now. But we just don't want you to keep stitching on it and changing it every day, because every time people post it, it floods everyone's feed. But you have
I'm in my album now, and when I click on one of my photos, I don't see where it says reply.
It might say comment.
It says comment.
Yeah. So when you've got a comment, you can reply to a comment. So you comment first and then you can reply.
Okay.
I just have to wait for it to finish loading.
Yeah. If anyone else has questions while it's loading, you can feel free to jump in. That's fine.
That's right.
You just have to
There we are. And so now, there we go. It's not the progress photo for that, because the progress photo is some months old. So now, when we look at this, we can see when I loaded it. That's one of the things that we look for is when did you post your start? We will be able to tell.
And then as you go through, we're suggesting that if you want to keep organized, when you stitch on something about once a month, you can go through and add your progress, because when the progress check-in dates come up, you don't want to have to be suddenly scrounging around trying to add everything. So
that's right.
Some people might want to do it, you know, every time they stitch. It's totally up to you. I mean, this is your album. And if you want to use it like a record of your stitching, then we are very happy for you to do that. But we would ask, if possible, try and limit it to about once a month so that there's not 50 billion photos in there. But if you want to keep it regularly, some people might know they're only stitching on it once every 4 months. So just when you finish stitching on it, pop it in.
All right.
I have a question.
Now,
yes.
So when we post our WIPs to our albums, do you want us right now? I just have one picture in there because I'm gathering everything up, and I was going to post, like you said, the ones I know I probably won't work on. Do you want us to post what the project picture is and then the status, or would you prefer that we post just our WIP progress as the photo?
No, post your project photo first, and then
your photo.
progress as a comment to that, because as a grader of the albums, it's very hard to determine what you actually are stitching without that progress photo. Plus, how else are you going to enable all of us to want to go buy it and stitch it? Because let me tell you, checking all your albums is very much enabling. It has grown my shopping list this whole year.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
so at the moment, what you should be doing is making your album, putting in your cover photos. If you want to do subcategories like Natalie, particularly in the 2022, because some people don't have 22 pieces to start. They want to keep 5 ready for who knows what starts during the year. That's fine. Just put, WIP number 15, new start, yet to be decided. That's fine. And then you can worry about it when you start it.
So the other thing that you may want to do, and I'm just trying to go back and find my album, is to save it.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
I'm
a
just-
valuable tool to know how to do.
Now,
And
I
you
actually can't find it. So this is where.
But you have to, yeah, well, okay, when you make your post though, I don't know why Natalie can't find it, but on the day when you make it, it's actually going to post in the comment thread that you have made your album or you've added a photo to your album. At that point, you can save that post by clicking the 3 black dots up the top right corner, and then you can have it saved so that you can find it a lot easier, because otherwise you end up like me last year scrolling through 300 and something albums to get to mine, because mine was the first album made, so it's right down the bottom, and Facebook doesn't let us reorganize things at all.
That's
No.
right.
And
So
Yeah, Ryan, we need you to label it
I'm
the right way.
I'm just going to share my screen and show you where those 3 dots are. Okay, so I've found my post.
Yep.
Here it is. Click on the 3 dots, save the post. Oh, hang on, I've clicked on the wrong post, because that's for WIP 1 Christmas Smalls. Here we go. Here's my Natalie O'Toole contributed to that album 2022. Yes. See, before it was a commenting on the photo. You're looking for contributed to the album. And I want to save the post. It will ask me where I want to save it. I want to save it to No New Starts. And it's done.
And can you just go back to your home page for a second and show us where would we go to find that in the future?
Absolutely. So I'll go to my home page. There we go. Look at this window into my Facebook when it loads. This is great. We're recording.
Well, while it's loading, if you think
There it is.
about
Here
it,
we are.
there's
Here we are. Sorry, Carla.
Okay.
Saved.
So
Nope, that's
just
okay.
on the left under saved.
Yeah. Go, Carla.
And here it is.
So that is
there-
so much more easier to find than scrolling through over 300 albums, because if you saw Julie's post today, NoNewStarts2022 has surpassed the 300 members. And it's we still got until December 31st. So I'm sure there'll be more coming along as information is filtered out and people see how much fun we're going to have this year.
And so
I
here's
have a
that album.
question. Do you
Yes,
save
Teresa.
every time you make a post?
No.
You don't need to save it. Once you've saved your album, it's saved. And every time you upload to that, it's there. So here's my album. It's got 3 photos in it at the moment. And so now if I go to that album, I'm going to, hopefully this works, upload. Photos library. There we go. Let's try that.
While she's doing that, can I just point out the first photo you upload is what will be your cover photo of your album. So that's why lots of people are making title pages so they can find it. And the last photo we want you to upload at the moment is the WIP list, which is just a list that you've handwritten or typed of your however many WIPs you have with their sizes.
So it's coming, it's coming. So say, for example, I've now loaded in all of my photos, and here is WIP list is, and I'm just putting in some sort of comment as the title for, as the caption for this. WIP list for 2022. Enter and post. I will come back and edit this, but
Obviously.
there we obviously have got a full 20 in 22 and 22. You can see on my WIP list that I've listed, I've got my smalls up the top because I'm going to come to those soonest, I hope, to complete them. Then the mediums and the larges and the BAPs. There we go. That is the WIP list. Now, when you are adding new pictures to it, you can still, what we're wanting you to do is to add new photos at the back.
After the event started. After the event
starts. So say, for example, I finish my Veronique Enginger calendar, and then I want to put in the next one. I will, for me, I'm going to be adding a picture in here, but I will also be adding a new picture at the end. I know what I will do. I will drag, pretend this is a Christmas WIP. This is, come on, catch up. Doesn't matter.
Being slow today.
It's very slow. It's the wind, maybe. But I'll put in a caption saying,
Nope,
I'll put in a caption that says WIP number 1 and in brackets 2.
Yeah, start number 2.
Like that.
So that way you can keep adding, putting all your new starts that you're doing. If you've earned them for whatever reason, you can add those in.
Or if you're replacing, you finish something and you're replacing it with another WIP. For those of you that maybe have more than 22 WIPs that you want to tissue box in to those spots. But those added after the WIP list would be for the new year when the event actually starts. When you load your WIP list, it's a flag to the admins that your album is ready for us to check it and make sure everything is good to go.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Natalie.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And now I've just created a caption for it.
And that way your WIP list checker will know what they're doing.
That's right.
Okay. Any other questions on WIP albums?
I'm looking, I don't see any hands up.
Okay. Well,
great.
Let's move on to the new exciting news, which I think lots of you are here for, which is talking about our optional fun yearly challenge. So that you have to do, as I said, either work your WIPs 22 and 22 or no new starts. You have to do that. That's the compulsory. Everything else we offer is optional to get you engaged, give you some fun and some reason for stitching. So I'm going to hand over to Carla, who has done a fantastic job of preparing our hugely exciting year-long optional challenge. Go for it, Carla.
All right. So if you've been watching us, we are doing a travel event. Our travel event is to be a year long. We are going to be traveling across the United States to all the different states, and we're stopping at local needlework shops along the way. These are actual shops that truly exist, or at least existed when I started putting this all together for us. And we are going to be stitching our miles to get to those shops, and from shop to shop to shop. We are also along the way going to be sightseeing, because as I was preparing this event and putting things together, I thought there were some really interesting things that we could have fun with along the way. You know, I don't know, maybe there's a biggest ball of yarn or something somewhere that we'll visit. So we have that sprinkled in, and we will be camping because, like Nikki, who is actually camping, I intend to camp when I retire and travel and do just this whole route. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I wanted to engage everybody, like Lisa talked about in the beginning. We have stitchers that I know I'm in multiple challenge groups that stitch 1,000 stitches a day and doesn't blink an eye. And we have stitchers that stitch 50 stitches a week, and that's a lot for them too. And the challenge for me when we put this together was to be able to engage both the stitcher that didn't stitch the 1,000 stitches a day, because I don't, and the stitchers that do and still feel like there's a challenge. So we set up 4 paths for you to go, and we call it your riding path. There's a tenter, there is a camper or caravan, there's a luxury RV option, and there's a hotel hopper option. The big question that I'm asked a lot is, how do I know which path I should take? Because I don't want to give you all the details of our traveling, because that takes the fun out of it. So how do you know which option to take? We are all traveling to the same shops. However, your stitches required to reach that shop is on a curve based on your ride. So a good example is if you're a tenter and it's 50 stitches to get to that shop, a caravaner might have to stitch 200 stitches to get to the same shop. If you're a luxury RVer, you might do 500 stitches to get to the same shop, and a hotel hopper may do 700 stitches to get to the same shop. So we've set up a algorithm, for lack of a better term, that would feed all 4 of those levels and challenge you along the way. So that's the easy part. That's where the bulk of your stitches are going to come. It is self-paced. So there is no race. There's no deadlines. It is a year long. We have a general guideline. There's 6 legs. The last leg is six. There's 5 legs, 6 check-ins. Your check-ins happen so that the admins can, 1, make sure that you've had all your travel stitches are done, make sure that your shopping has been done, and any other stitches in that leg were done. There will be, and I know it seems like an awful lot, and it's not, it really isn't. I have simplified it very much so. We are going to start off in mid-December with stitching your ride. And how do you stitch your ride? If you want to be a tenter, your average, we think, is probably, and I wrote it down today because I was like, okay, how do I know which ride do I want? If you want to be a tenter, we figured your average is 200 stitches or 2 hours a week. And the reason we did this in a week is because some of us work and do more stitches on the weekend than we do on a weekday, and vice versa. So we wanted to give you a good average for your week. What does that look like? If your average is about 200, give or take, you're probably a tenter, and that's the path you should at least start at. If you average, say, 500 to 800 stitches or 5 to 8 hours of stitching a week, you're probably a caravaner or a camper, and that's where you should be starting at. If you average between 1,000 and 2,000 stitches in a week, or 10 to 20 hours a week of stitching, you're looking at a luxury RV, is a good place to start and feel secure you're in the right spot. If you stitch averaging 2,500 or more stitches in a week, you would be more inclined to be our hotel hopper. Because that's what's going to challenge you and you're not going to get bored. So I hope that helps you to kind of decide to think about where you fit in the ride.
And again, let me just interject. If you'd like to discuss your individual circumstances with us, we're more than happy to nut it out with you after the recording part finishes. Would love to help you.
Absolutely. One of the questions I got asked, and I'm just pulling questions that people have posed on the website or have PM'd me or has been in Zoom and asked, and I thought they're really good questions, is, well, what happens if I picked a ride, but it's too hard for me? I realize I picked hotel hopper, but I'm really a camper at heart. It's too hard. You just reach out to an admin and we will evaluate how your stitching has been and decide what's a good place for you, and we can downgrade you. Vice versa, if you fly through everything, we may think you're not really a tenter and you need to be upgraded. And you can ask us for an upgrade, but the admins may approach you and say, you know, you've done a fantastic job, but we think you're probably not a camper. We think you should be in the luxury RV to get the most out of the travels. So we will upgrade you as well. What if you just want to do it on your own? You absolutely can. There's options to trade some things, to upgrade your ride or to change your ride, change some things that you'd be shopping for. And I forgot where I was going with that. But we ask that you don't arbitrarily change your ride and just be like, well, I'm going to switch over to this path without talking to the admin, because there's a whole lot of things going on in the background. We have spreadsheets and we're calculating raffle entries and doing all kinds of things in the background that we really need to know which pathway you're on. And we need to be able to grade your, I hate using the term grade, but really when we go through and check you off at the checkpoint, we got to make sure that you've got the stitches you were supposed to get. So, because we want it to be fair, there's going to be lots of opportunities for random prizes along the way. We have, when we start mid-December, we're going to start an event calling Choose My Ride, where you're going to be able to start your stitches to pick the ride that you want. And we also will have the opportunity to stitch for a passport. So does anybody have any questions about the ride before I jump into passports? I'm swiping to see.
Ivy's got one.
Ivy, go ahead.
So is it stitches by week or day?
By week. For the average, by week.
Yeah. And then also, if you are not a counter of stitches and do it by hours, is that still okay to, when you do your post, list it under hours, or do we have to do the whole conversion ourselves?
You can list it under hours. We made it very simple, so it's not going to be like these weird 526 miles. It's going to be like to the 50s and hundreds to make it 1 hour, half hour for 50 stitches. We wanted to make it very succinct and simple, because I always overstitch when it's a weird number. So, okay, that's a good question. Any other questions before we move on to the passport? Okay, so the next thing that's going to start in mid-December at the same time is we can stitch for a passport. And what the passport essentially is it's your passport when you're traveling and we end up in a campground or a hotel. When you stop at a campground or a hotel, you typically have reservation fees to pay for your lot or your room. So what we're going to do is offer you a chance to do those stitches up front. It's prorated on your ride. So you may do so many stitches as a tenter and so many stitches as a hotel hopper. Based on your ride, we'll say how many stitches you need to earn your passport. You have as long as you want to take to earn a passport. Do you have to earn a passport? No. If you don't have a passport, you don't want to earn a passport, that's absolutely fine. The only thing that does is when you land yourself, if you think about going along a Monopoly board and you land on the train station and you have to pay your utility bills or whatever it is, when you land on a campsite, you're going to have to pay your registration fees. If you have a passport, you've already done your stitches for the registration and you just say, I earned my passport, and you don't have to do those stitches. The bonus to doing it early is I know how many campsites we have in our year-long event, and I undercut the total stitches by a smidge for each category. So you'll actually do less overall stitches for the year if you earn a passport. But again, it is optional only. I know a lot of us get excited at the end of the year for the new year prompts to start. And a lot of challenge groups are kind of in a lull at that time with the holidays. So it gives you some place to throw your stitches. You can, if you decide 6 months down the road you want a passport, you can certainly stitch for a passport down the road. There's no rules that says you can't. So you can earn it at any time.
Sorry, just to interrupt, Carla. Nicole's got a question.
Yes.
Just with the passports, is it just on one project that you stitch on, or can you stitch on multiple projects?
If you stitch it at the beginning during that December month, I'm allowing you to stitch it on multiple projects. If you start your passport or you don't have it finished by the time the event is released, the traveling starts, then you will have to pick one project to finish your stitches on. That makes it easier for us to track. But I also know some of us are starting 42 WIPs, and doing many stitches on one project may be a challenge. So
yeah, I'm not looking at anyone in particular. Hey, Jamie.
Yes.
Nobody in particular, Jamie.
And that's another bonus for if you want to get it started before the main event, January. You know, it's like a little early bird bonus.
Correct.
Can you double dip the 200 to start your project with the passport?
No. But that's a good question. No,
Just so
you can't. You can double dip your stitches in the travel event with any other event going on with No New Starts. However, you can't double dip travel stitches with camping stitches or shopping stitches that's in the actual event.
No, what I'm saying is, like, the month of December, they're going to be starting their new projects for 200 a piece.
Yes.
Can they include those stitches
Yes,
for the passport?
Yes.
because it's
Just
a
so
different
they-
event.
Yes.
Ivy has
Yes,
a question.
Ivy.
When can we start stitching for the passport?
It will be announced in mid-December. It will be an event that's posted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
it'll be after the main 2021 main event finishes, sometime between that and Christmas.
Ivy,
Yes.
you had a question?
Just a minute, I lost it.
That's okay.
That's all right. When you're ready,
If
maybe
it comes
as you're
down-
about to fall
okay.
asleep. Go on.
If you stitch for the passport, does that mean like every campsite throughout the rest of the challenge, you don't have to pay that fee? Or the
Correct.
Got it.
stitching fee?
Yeah.
You don't
Okay,
have
so
to
that
pay the registration fee
So that passport lasts for the whole year challenge.
whole year,
That's
Ah,
it.
yep.
Yes.
the whole trip. Now, there are setup fees when you go camping, since we're talking about the passport and the registration fees and the setup fees. So camping setup, we wanted to give everybody an option to earn extra raffle entries. And I thought this was a great way to do it because we don't camp between every shop. There's a couple of camps between all the different legs, different places throughout. And these are actual campgrounds, by the way. So if anybody sees a campground name and you're like, what's this all about? Look them up because they are so interesting. I specifically picked interesting campgrounds. So they had neat things that I thought was neat. So the campgrounds I picked 10 things that you would normally do if you went camping, like collecting firewood, maybe sitting by the pool. You might be, if you're a hotel hopper, using the satellite and the television, and you might have s'mores or mountain pies or what Aussies call jaffles.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm learning the lingo. Each one of those 10 items have a stitch count associated with them. So when you're at a campsite, you're not required to do this. And I think our original instructions said that you were required, but I'm not making it compulsory. However, you do and you will be required to do at least one of the 10 items. At least one of those 10 items, you get to pick whatever it is you want and you can stitch it. There's some campsites that you're going to have a minimum stay. You might be there for 2 days. You might be there a week. Use that time to have fun and set up your campsite and do all the things. When you collect all 10, you turn those into an admin and say, hey, I've got my 10 camp setups. You turn it in for raffle entries, and then you can start stitching the 10 again to earn more raffle entries. So they're not a lot of stitches. I think the most is emptying the loo, and that's because nobody likes to empty the potty when you go camping. I know my husband and I are like rock, paper, scissors, your turn. I don't want to empty it. So that's a little bit more stitches than the average, but for the most part, there's not a lot of stitches involved. The stitches are your miles to get places. When you're at the campsite, you can stay for as long as you want. If it has a minimum stay of 2 days, you have to stay your 2 days. You put your I arrived date and my departure date on your post. If it has no requirement to stay, do your stitches for your setup and you can move out the very next day or whenever you want to. So it's all about, it's a good place to rest and relax, catch up on any shopping stitches you may have sitting out there. And all those 10 items, you can't stitch anywhere else in this game except when you were at a campsite. So it behooves you to stick around and stitch all your stitches and earn those raffle entries. No more than 10 can be stitched per campsite. All right, Nicole, I see your hand.
So you just said when you're posting, does that get posted on the normal feed or is that in our albums?
It's going to be in your albums. It's going to be in your travel event.
Do you set up an event for each campsite, or?
We set up we're going to set up an event for each leg. And when you post, you're going to post kind of like, help me, Nat. You post like now. If I'm in Daily 30, which is a group, they post their weekly challenges, but whenever I post mine, I save my post, and that's my travel for the whole first leg until you check in.
That's right. And along that line, we are actually having a separate Facebook group just for the yearly challenge, because there's going to be events and things like that that some people may not want to be part of. There's going to be lots of album posting, and it keeps both separate. Ivy, you've got a question? No, not anymore.
Okay, just while we're on that,
sorry.
Oh,
while we're on that,
that's okay.
While we're there, the whole idea is like we'll be monitoring it at the checkpoints to help you along, but you're going to be just basically self-traveling. You're doing it for your fun and your enjoyment. So you're going to be checking things off, making your list. Right, I've reached leg 1. Oh, I stitched for the loo. There's my stitches. Now I'm traveling here, this many miles. There's my ending picture. And on all of these, you can stitch on any piece you want. You can use numerous pieces to get there. If you need to do a couple of different ones, that's fine. You just do the same as usual in all the challenges. Starting photo, ending photo. We don't need a cover photo for your general travel stitching, but there is occasional exceptions where Carla is throwing up a specific item as a bonus.
Correct. So some of our shops, I wanted to have fun with the name a little bit. So a good example is Black Cat Stitchery. I've just thrown it out there. I don't know if that's one of our stops. I'm sure it is. There's a lot of them. So I may have, if you stitch on a WIP with a black cat, earn 50% off your travel stitches. So you essentially cut your stitches in half to travel to the Black Cat Stitchery. So that's going to be clearly marked on your travel agenda for the whole leg. It'll be clearly marked. But I might not know that your project has a black cat. So if it's not obvious to me that there's a black cat, you may need to put your cover photo so that we know that it is truly there, because I stitch big WIPs and HAIDs, and you might not know that there's a panda bear in my Amazing Animal Kingdom if I don't show the picture, because I'm still up in the little bitty part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's terrific. Yes.
Okay. Any questions about the camping? Okay, let's talk shopping, because that's the best part, because I love shopping. Who doesn't love shopping? I'm so excited about this shopping. And I know it's a lot of information, and believe me, we're not going to leave you out there. I am happy to answer any questions that come along. Feel free, PM me, get into Zoom. That's a great place. There's multiple minds. We talk strategies. In Zoom room, there's always somebody that's probably involved in whatever you're involved in, and they can help out too. But shopping is the best part. Let me look at my shopping notes. Or do I want to talk pop-ups?
No, do
Let's
shopping
talk
first.
pop-ups. You want to do shopping first? Okay,
Shopping.
we'll do shopping first.
Shopping first.
Okay, so shopping, basically, how do you get to the shop we talked about? Based on your ride is going to dictate the stitches you need to do to travel the miles to get to the shop. Then when you get there, what do you do when you get to the shop? But you go shopping. You want to go put something in your cart. So what you do is you tag an admin that says, hey, I'm here. And the admins, that's Natalie, Lisa, or I, we have a random number generator. And we will tell you, you spun number 23. So there's a shopping list that's on that post. 23 might have, and I don't have it in front of me, Nat, but just for giggles, we'll say 23 is DMC floss for 50 stitches. So we're going to tell you, you spun 23. You don't have to wait for us to tell you that. If you get to your shop and you've tagged an admin and we haven't responded, move on to the next shop. That's why we have checkpoints. So if at some point Lisa works, Nat works, I work, we're all in different time zones, we're going to periodically sweep to see where you're at in your travels. When you tag us, we're going to do our best to get it on there as quickly as we can, but understand we have lives too, and we're not going to be able to do it the very second, and we don't want you waiting. That's why we have those checkpoints, so we can make sure that you did get a spin for every shop you stitched to, and you have the opportunity to get those stitches in before you move on to the next leg.
Question. Several.
Yes.
Do I need to have dice in a spinner?
No,
You do
we're
that.
doing the spinning for you.
Great. And the second question is, you keep saying tag, and you know I'm not literate. What does that mean?
So you know the @ symbol, it's just above the number 2 on your keyboard. So you do @Natalie or @Lisa or @Carla, and that will flag to us that you've got something that you want us to pay attention to.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
And with what Carla
Any other
was saying,
questions?
well, what Carla was saying is, Carla and I will be probably the main ones doing the checking. And one of the reasons we did that is we are in opposite time zones. So if you know what time zone it is where you want to tag, you might choose which one of us you think is more likely to see it if you're in a hurry. Doesn't mean we'll see it, but you've got more chance.
And I am not allowed on Facebook when I'm at work during work time. So I pop in at lunch when I can, and I try to, unfortunately, I have friends that I report to, so I don't need them seeing what I'm posting. Not during work hours. I'd like to keep my job.
Is that tag on Facebook or tag on private message?
Tag on Facebook, but Teresa, if you private message me, I can tell you in the private message as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. When you complete your stitches for that item, that means you actually purchased your item. I say purchased, and it's in your inventory. So I suggest making a list of those 25 items so you can keep track of which ones you've picked up, because there's bonuses for you along the way. If you pick up 25 items and you spin all 25 items, you can exchange that for 50 raffle entries, which is huge, huge. We also know that when we go shopping, like real life, we forget that we already have that pattern in our stash. So we may end up with multiples of the same thing. There's going to be opportunities to exchange those during the game. It might be you're exchanging so many for a lucky dip prize. We may have just a pop-up that, you know, if you have 20 items that are a duplicate and you want to exchange them for a raffle entry, we're going to just do different things. So it behooves you to keep track. The admins will definitely be keeping track of what each of you are getting along the way when you're doing your shopping. And when you get to those checkpoints, it's a good time to make sure you didn't leave anything on the counter, because that's what we're looking to make sure you didn't walk out of the shop and leave your bag on the counter and you didn't get your stitches in. And
I'm sorry, you just know me too well.
Is there any
We've all done
it.
We've all done it.
I'm passing through. I'm looking for hands. Sue, are you raising your hand or stretching? Okay.
She's stitching.
She's stitching. I will point out for the Work Your WIPs people that one of the things you might buy at the shop, if you're lucky, is a new start. So
nope, we took that out.
Oh, did we? Oh,
yeah, we took that out. It made it 26, and that wasn't a fun number, so we took that one out.
Okay, no new start.
But that doesn't mean that some extra past the stash couldn't go for a new start along the way.
That's right.
That's fair enough.
What I ask you to do is bear in mind this is a very fluid event, because we don't know what type of stitchers you all are, and we want to make this the most fun for all of you. So we're going to be tweaking and merging and doing things that's going to make it better for everybody as we go along, for sure. So I want to talk real quick about pop-up events, because I understand that has people really scared. Because when you say pop-up events and you're in a challenge group, all I can picture is aliens dropping out of the sky, 10,000 stitches to save yourselves. That's not the kind of pop-up events that I'm talking about on our travels. A pop-up event can be for all of us traveling, or it could be specific to your ride. So a good example of what I'm calling a pop-up event may be tenters. You found a rip in your tent, stitch 50 stitches to repair your tent. That's something that's different, that's not part of your traveling. Maybe you have, let's see, I had a couple of them I wrote down today as an example.
Oh, there was a tire blowout.
Yeah,
on the
tire
RV.
blowout. Yeah. If you have, if you're a caravan or a luxury RVer, your tire blew out, stitch 200 stitches to repair your tire. So they're definitely feasible stitch amounts. And the pop-ups are just meant to add some variety to your travels, and they're random in nature. All you have to do is, once you see that, is post your start, say starting for my repairing my tent, and then do your 50 stitches and post your finish. Now, it's not compulsory. You do not have to do the pop-up events, but I will forewarn you now that participants in the pop-up events do get names put into special drawings along the way. We might visit some stores along the way. I've talked to some shop owners to maybe get some gift cards or some things donated that might be a a random prize drawing for people that participated in that event. It is random in nature, and there's no, I'm not going to say, hey guys, you got to do this pop-up because you want to make sure you're in this event because we're going to do a drawing. It's going to be random and you don't know when it's coming. So you don't want to miss out. And it might be if you're a tenter and you participated in a tenting pop-up that was specific, that the tenters are going to have their name put into that drawing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, I have a lot of stash that I want to share. So I've got to get some prizes.
And on that, we thank everyone who's donated so far. We really appreciate your generosity. We love the fact that some of you have found ways to do like 1, 2, 3 gift cards or other shop gift cards, because we're not doing money as such this year. But yeah, passing your stash, anything that's good quality that you think someone else would appreciate, feel free to send it to Carla or I, and we will put it to good use. We want to have a lot of raffle drawings and along the way prizes in the group, not just for the travel one, but the group in general. So thank you in advance and for all who have donated so far.
Yeah. And one of the things we've done in 2021 is we had people win drawings or participate in events, and we sent them a lucky dip prize. And what we talked about doing differently in 2022 is we're going to have prize albums that if you are selected that you won, you are going to be granted access to go in there and pick the one that you would like to have. So, and we will get it out to you. So that's something we're doing different this year, because I struggled looking at all your WIPs and figuring out which ones of the lucky dip prizes did I think you would like. So now I don't have to think about it. You can tell me what you would like and I'll send it to you, or Lisa will send it to you. Time zones. People ask me about time zones, and I've decided with this event, there is absolutely no time zones. They are out the window. If you see the event pop up and you see the thread, join in. You don't have to wait until a certain time to start. Just jump in and start doing your stitches. When is the traveling going to be released? It will be released at the end of the year, probably no later than January something, when the actual travel gets posted. Could it be December 30th? Could it be January 4th? You're probably safe bet it'll be somewhere around there. So if that helps you plan, it'll be somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that week.
In that week.
Yeah.
The first leg is very short. That's what I'm going to tell you. The first leg is very short. It's got a variety of everything we've talked about, so you can kind of get an idea of how the event is going to work. It has a pop-up. It has a camper. It's got a sightseeing event. It's got all your shopping, but it is short. Don't be deceived, because the first place when we start out, our miles are lower than the second leg. The second leg, they are much higher. So I don't want you to think, oh, I'm good. I'm going to be in luxury RV, or they're too easy, because you're going to be in for a big awakening come the second leg of the event.
And the other thing is, as Carla said, it's not a race. You go at your own pace. Real life happens. If you don't want to start it in January, that's fine. You can start anytime you like. If you start in January and you go, you know what, I'm just not being able to do with this, you can just stop doing it. That's fine too. Be nice if you let us know, so we know we can stop looking at you. That would be appreciated. But you know, you can do what you like. We have a couple of pace stitches that are going to be stitching along the route, and when they reach certain levels, we'll be able to gauge that that's when we're going to release the next leg. So if you're a really fast stitcher and you get to the end of the first leg, you might be sitting there for a bit. You might find that there's some things thrown your way in the meantime, or you might just be sitting there twiddling your thumbs at your campsite. So
we're not going to let you twiddle your thumbs. So
no.
if you blow through,
Oh, no.
I really figure the first leg is about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks to be done. If you get done really quickly, that's okay. I have something to keep you busy until the second leg gets released. I won't leave you there with nothing to do with your stitches.
And it doesn't matter if the second leg's released and you're only a third of the way through the first leg. that's all fine.
Absolutely. It is self-paced. And so when we release the next leg, it doesn't mean, oh, darn it, I didn't finish this leg. I don't want to start the next one. I didn't finish this one. That's okay. Finish what you're working on. When you get to your checkpoint, you're going to tag the admin. We're going to scrub your stuff just the same as everybody else. And we're going to say, okay, to move on to the second leg. If the second leg is already up and posted, just jump right in.
That's right.
And
Any
Carla,
questions?
you'll use
We-
that. You will use that check-in with your paste stitchers and other ones on, and that will be your basis on if they move them up or down. So
Correct.
if you are a fast stitcher and you're not in the fastest group and you're finishing way ahead, you're going to go ahead and change them.
Correct. We're going to upgrade.
Yeah.
We're going to let you know that you
Oh,
are
yeah.
fantastically ready for an upgrade, and we're going to upgrade you. And if we're on the fence and you got there earlier than we expected, I might have a little test run for you to see if you should be upgraded or not. So it might just be you had a really good month and wasn't going anywhere or doing anything because it's snowing outside. So we're taking all that into account.
Other questions?
I got asked, what if I fall behind? There's no behind because it's all self-paced. So nobody's behind. If we're 6 months into this and somebody finds and wants to jump in. We're going to start you right at the beginning like everybody else. You shouldn't have to not be able to participate, and it's fine. There's floss tubers also. If you read that, this is kind of the last thing that I'm going to bring up because I know it's a lot of stuff. But we talked about floss tubers. It was really important for me to visit the local needlework shops because there's shops out there that you guys don't know is in your backyard. I guarantee it. There was one in my backyard that I didn't know was there. So I know that they're out there. And I started thinking about, well, what about our floss tubers? There's lots of us out there that do videos and people don't know that you do videos. So what we're going to be doing is in the main challenge group, we're going to post each leg. Hey, our travelers are going through these states and we're going to throw some countries in each of those legs. So those of you that don't live in the United States, you're going to have your country identified as well, that you're going to be able to, as a floss tuber, post a link to your channel so the rest of us can watch. And are you required to watch? No, but we think it'd be a lot of fun to post a comment to their floss tube that says, hey, NoNewStarts2022 sent me your way. It was fun visiting with you on our travels, So as a floss tuber, your only responsibility would be, oh, that's my state. I'm from Arizona. Let me plug in my link onto that. So that helps us each section of the way. It'll highlight some of the floss tubers that are out there that are in our community. And on that note, to be part of this group for the traveling event, you have to be in the NoNewStarts2022 group. This, even though it's a separate Facebook group, we are not opening it to anybody outside of NoNewStarts2022. So if you go into NoNewStarts2022 and then we will invite everybody over. You come over and you decide that I'm not going to be in No New Starts anymore, then you're going to be out of the traveling event as well.
Okay, let's open up for, are there any other questions that you guys are dying to ask before we end the recorded part? Because these questions are important, because if you're thinking it, someone else is too. So Natalie, if you can look, because I can't look at the gallery when I'm recording.
I can.
Any questions?
Any
Everybody
questions?
stitching?
Lovely to see everyone stitching.
That's
I see
wonderful.
people stitching.
Oh, Martha, you're still on mute if you're asking.
No, I was actually talking to my husband. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
So that's
okay.
Martha.
Meet Martha. She's one of our moderators.
Yep.
Sylvia
wasn't
has a
here in the
question.
beginning.
Hey,
Yes,
Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Oh, you're on mute. There we go.
I think you said this, but I want to clarify. In the No New Starts 2022, will you still be having Scrabble and the other monthly events?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
use those stitches for traveling.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought so. I just wanted to clarify.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You sure can.
Cindy, hi. Did you have a question? No, that's cool.
So on that point, yes, we still have all our other range of events happening during the year in the main challenge group as well. This yearly is just one of them. And we don't want to bombard you with way too much information. So you don't really need to know about many of them now. The only other one that will start early is the Zodiac. So that will launch on the 21st of November. So you can get started on that.
21st of December.
Oh, sorry,
Yes.
wrong month. December, yes. Thank you, Carla.
I'm like, I got to get through this year.
So if there's no more questions, we might round up the actual recording part and then we can just chat and help people with their individuals. Is there anything else you want to say, Nat or Carla, before?
No, I am so excited that we've got 300 people who are either continuing on or joining in with the 2022 event. The support that we've received from everybody this year has been overwhelming, and thank you so much. It's, you know, from a crazy idea towards the end of well, it was midway through 2020 to where it is now. It's just amazing. And we thank you so much for your support, your questions, people who are answering other people's questions.
Yeah.
This community is amazing, and I gotta say, stitches are the best people.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful, and you know, it's great because you guys are such wonderful people helping each other out. It's totally drama free, which is brilliant because we all like that. And what I wanted to say is thank you to all of you who are here live, but also those watching. Please come and join the Zoom room. It's available to anyone in the No New Starts group. We will be changing the password at the end of the year when we roll over the groups. But for now, jump on if you want someone to stitch with. If you've got any questions, jump on. The people who are on here are usually the admins, moderators. There's usually at least one of them here who can easily answer your question. So, you know, stay and stitch, have fun. And if you've got individual needs now, we'll be able to help you with them.
And before you end, real quick, or did you already end?
No.
I just want to say that if you do get into the Zoom room and nobody's here, post on the Facebook group, hey, I'm Zooming if anybody wants to join me, because if anybody's available, they will certainly jump on to visit and help you in any way that they can. And those of you that are watching this video after the fact, if there's questions you have that we haven't touched on, feel free to post it to the questions section on the post that asks for anybody that has any questions. We will answer them and to the best that we can. It's a lot easier to do it in person with our words than trying to type and make it make sense. So I hope that everybody found that this was helpful. And if you did, we may do another one when we get closer to the other events coming out that are people are new to, that we can talk to those specifically too.
So thanks again for joining us. We want you to have fun. We want you to work on all those WIPs and, you know, see some progress on what you're stitching. Okay.